Hi YouTube, welcome to another edition of Horror Hands, and for this video I'm going to be answering some commonly asked questions about my collection and movie collecting in general that I tend to get from you guys in the comment section. I've had a few people asking various questions and asking if I can do a video on that, so I've gathered a few questions that I tend to get asked here and there on my videos, and we'll go through them and I'll give you an answer. So let's get straight to it. So the answer to that at the moment, unfortunately, is I don't really know. I would estimate I have around 4,000 movies in this room, maybe a little bit more. Now I am in the process of categorising my movies. I'm putting them all into a spreadsheet so that when that's done, I will know exactly how many movies I've got. And I'm also making that quite detailed. When it's done, I can break it down and have a look at the most popular director, the label that I've got most movies from. So it's quite a detailed project that I'm working on, but it's just taking a long time. I started it a few months ago and I'm still inputting films beginning with E. So it's going to take a long time to do, but once that's done, I can find out how many movies I've got and I can break it down in a few interesting ways. But my answer to that right now, I would estimate about 4,000 sort of DVDs, Blu-rays and 4Ks. I've got more movies than that because I don't count box sets. That's just one, but it has numerous movies in. So there's quite a few of them to add to that. But yeah, I reckon we're at about 4,000 movies at present. Not quite, but I have watched the majority of everything that's on the shelf. I do pride myself on watching everything that I buy, and there's a few movies that have slipped in that I still need to watch, but on the whole, I've pretty much watched like 95% of everything that you see up here on the wall. For all the new movies that I get that come in, I kind of leave them out and I work my way through them. I watch them all and then I get to a point where I can put them on the shelf. I don't tend to put a movie on the shelf without watching it first because I don't forget about it, but it can get lost in the mire of all these movies. So there's a small number of films that I still need to watch, but it is my intention to watch them. And yes, I do strive to watch everything that I own. This one, I'm not sure of an exact time frame. I've been watching movies and kind of collecting movies ever since I was a kid, from getting videos, VHS tapes, and used to collect a bit of everything, had a bit of all genres, sort of really started collecting them maybe like 10, 12 years ago. But the horror stuff I really honed in on probably about maybe sort of 5 or 6 years ago, and I just thought I'm just going to collect horror films because those were the movies that I got most excited about, that I enjoy watching, and it gets a bit too much to collect everything. So my idea was, let's just hit the horror films and build a giant horror library. So in terms of this that you see here, I've kind of been working on this over the last 5 or 6 years, but collecting in general, years and years since I was a kid. I'm a big fan of A to Z, and at this stage it's the best way for me to categorise everything because I don't think I'd ever find anything if it wasn't in that kind of order. So with this collection, I start with the numerical titles and then go on with A, B, C, and we end up at Z, and that's how I like to do it. So everything's thrown in, DVDs, Blu-rays and 4Ks all together, and they're just strewn along the shelves in this alphabetical format. And what I like about this is you really kind of get the randomness and the variety that the horror genre has to offer, because if there's no kind of rhyme or reason in terms of the genres and subgenres, you get some pretty wonderful films all mixed in their A to Z form. So you can have like a real kind of trashy 70s grindhouse film next to a classic from the 1930s, that kind of thing. So I do enjoy looking at them in an A to Z way, because yeah, you just get a real random variety across the shelf. So yeah, the way I organise my collection is in alphabetical order. I get most of my movies online. I'd much rather go out and find them in person, but we don't have that many options nowadays. You've got sort of like HMV and CX and a few charity shops, but can't really find that much there nowadays, unfortunately. So I get a lot of things off Amazon just for convenience. I get a lot of things off eBay. I find quite a few sort of weird and wonderful things on eBay. Tend to make some quite big orders from Wow HD. And then I'll go to sort of the direct websites, so like Vinegar Syndrome, Severin, the boutique labels. I'll tend to buy direct from them. And then of course we have like HorrorCon once a year, which is just a gold mine for finding some really out there titles, and that's really awesome because you can go there and sort of physically look through everything. So that's really exciting time. So yeah, those are the main places that I get my movies from. This is something I actually get asked quite a lot by people, like what's my movie watching schedule? And I have to say, I don't really have one. It just depends what I'm doing that week, how I feel, what I fancy watching. So it does vary, but I mean, if I'm really into movies and it's a quiet week, I can watch one movie a night and then a few movies at the weekend. So on a good week, it can be like up to 10 movies in a week. But for example, recently I've been spending a lot of time doing things with my parents and seeing friends and that kind of thing. So I've only watched 2 or 3 films in a week. So you know, on a quiet week, it can be 2 or 3 films. On a good week where I've got lots of cool stuff to watch, it can be like up to 10 movies. So it really does vary. But even though I have this collection, I'm not someone that can kind of just sit down and watch movie after movie. I'm quite an outdoorsy person. I like to be up doing things. So, but if I've got time in an evening, I'll certainly put a film on. So don't really have a schedule, but I certainly like to watch, you know, at least a couple of films a week, usually more. Upgrading. Very rarely do I upgrade my movies, and I have a couple of reasons for that. First of all, if I do upgrade, it's usually because the current edition I've got is damaged or looking a bit worn, or if it's one of those snapper case DVDs. I've never been a fan of those. So in those instances, I will upgrade if a nice edition comes out. But very rarely do I upgrade my films. And the first reason for that is, if I have a movie, whether it's DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, if I have it and it's in the collection and I can watch it and enjoy it, then that's good enough for me. I don't need to keep upgrading to the next edition. And it just seems a bit counterproductive for me, because there's so many films I still want to get. I want to grow the collection. Buying the same film over and over again is just not something that appeals to me. Nor is it that financially viable, if I'm being honest with you. I don't want to keep paying out for the same film that I've got here that I can watch. So yeah, I don't tend to upgrade when things come out. And then in addition to that, and I don't want to get too cynical here, but I kind of get bored of companies re-releasing the same movies. I've seen companies re-release films on DVD, Blu-ray, limited edition Blu-ray, Steelbook, 4K, and to me it just gets a bit repetitive. And again, considering there's so many films that I'd love to see get a release, some obscure stuff, some 80s horror, lots of sort of creature feature films that have yet to get a release. I'd love for someone to bring They Bite out on Blu-ray. Crater Lake Monster, I'd love for that to get a Blu-ray. The Monster Squad has still not been released here in the UK. So considering there's so many cool films that have yet to get a nice release, seeing movies re-release in their back catalogue again and again, I just get a bit tired of that, and it doesn't appeal to me to buy the same movie again. So no, very rarely do I upgrade my movies. Having said that, I can absolutely see why people do. There's some really nice releases out there, and if you're a fan of a film, I can totally see why you go for the nice new sort of swanky 4K Blu-ray that comes out. So yeah, I do get that, but for me, if I've got the film, I'm usually happy with it. Not a big fan of them, to be honest, for reasons that people have said over and over again, but the lack of personality, if you will, in streaming services, to just press a button and then something starts is pretty soulless to me. You can't beat the tangible experience of physically looking for movies, seeing them on the shelf, looking at the awesome cover art, and taking them back and watching them. That is much more satisfying than just being able to scroll through and go in and out of films and that kind of thing. And it's kind of sad because I don't know how kind of kids today get excited about movies, because, you know, me, when I was growing up, you had to find them. You had to find them on video and, you know, get them on DVD. And even now still, I'm trying to find rare films on Blu-ray and things. So when you get them and you have them in, you have a physical copy right there, it's almost like a sense of achievement. And kids now just won't experience that scrolling through social media. So that's unfortunate. And, you know, as a big movie fan, as someone that loves these weird, crappy horror films, ownership's very important. Like, I want to own this film. I don't want to have to watch it through a streaming service who they own it. They could take it away. They could edit it. You know, I want this movie for me so that I can have it, I can hold it, I can enjoy it whenever I want, and no one's going to take it away from me. So, yeah, streaming services don't really appeal to me. I do have Netflix, and I have that for watching just domestic TV shows that I wouldn't watch any other way. I wouldn't buy them on DVD, so I have it for that. But I'd never watch a horror film through a streaming service. I would go out and buy it because that's just what I've always done, and that's what I enjoy, rather than just mindlessly scrolling through what they have to offer. Aha, this is the big question. I honestly don't know. I hear that people saying physical media is dead. I hear people saying it's making a resurgence. I think it will always be around. You'll never get rid of physical media. Whether it'll be as commercially viable and available as it is right now, I'm not sure. But I mean, it's an interesting time because, you know, in a time where kind of they say that physical media is dying off, you know, we're getting all these fancy releases and we're getting Blu-rays and 4Ks. So, you know, companies are trying, and it seems that the world of collecting is growing stronger and stronger. So that's, you know, will hopefully help to keep physical media around a bit longer. But I don't think you'll ever truly get rid of physical media. And, you know, if it does die off, it might even make it more sought after. So, you know, I'll always be collecting it anyway. I'll always have it and will always fly the flag of physical media. So yeah, I don't think you'll ever truly kill off physical media and DVDs and Blu-rays and 4Ks and whatever comes next. So there we go, guys. That's a few answers to the questions that I tend to get asked a lot in the comments section. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you found that interesting. If there's anything else that I've not answered, any other questions that you want to ask me, let me know in the comment section. I'll always reply to you and give you an answer. I might do another one of these if I get a lot of people asking different questions. So yeah, but I hope you found that interesting. So thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.